Darkest Dungeon is a hard bastard of a game. Runs are short but brutal. You never seem to have enough resources to come out the other side unscathed. Failure is as much in the game's lexicon as success. Your ragtag party of adventurers will most likely die, or, if they're lucky, just lose something fundamental about themselves. It's a specific type of game catering to a perfect circle Venn diagram of Lovecraft-enjoying masochists, a perfect storm of necessary cruelty designed to push players to master the intricacies of its systems, or be driven mad in the process. By its very reputation, I was hesitant to even approach it for years, and when I did, my first time was not really a positive experience. I didn't understand the combat mechanics all that well, found frustration in the fact that enemy damage output far outclasses any ability to heal, and I found myself backed into a corner with no way to escape. I hated it, but of course it's because I was playing it wrong. Naturally, after that first session, it was all I could think about. I am a Lovecraft-enjoying masochist after all. So I fired up the game again, and having spent more time with the systems, it's way more generous than I was expecting. For a title that maximizes brutality and dominion, and I know this is going to sound like a stretch, it's a game that's genuinely on your side. Darkest Dungeon wants you to succeed. If you're unfamiliar with the game, a quick primer. You're tasked with sending adventurers into the ruins below your ancestral estate. Your party are comprised of knights, bards, highwaymen, shamanic warriors, and all kinds of roguish bastard. Each week, new adventurers show up who you can recruit to aid you in your expedition, or replace those you have lost. Dungeons are traversed room by room. Some contain treasure, others traps, and on occasion combat encounters. These are the bread and butter of Darkest Dungeon. Rough, cut-to-the-bone clashes with cultists, fishmen, and other unspeakable horrors. Your party has a defined lineup at the start of each encounter, although that rarely stays that way. This layout determines what abilities you have access to, as identified by these icons. The yellow orbs show you where in the quartet your fighter needs to be in order to activate that particular ability. The red orbs denote which space in the enemy's roster is affected by said ability. This is so atypical of role-playing game design, where conventional wisdom is that you give each party member at least one ability they can use at any time on any space, no matter how weak or costly. It's what threw me the first time I played the game, and why party and ability selection is crucial. Because you might find yourself left with one party member remaining who can only act from the back rows, only there's no back row anymore because everyone's been returned to the earth, and now you're presented before God, the devil, and all the horrors of unknown realms with nothing to defend yourself with. Status effects are paramount to victory, with abilities that cause damage over time or severely reduce the enemy's damage output, bolster your stats, or even increase your resilience to stress. Oh yeah, stress is a whole thing too. It's like a secondary health meter. You want to keep on top of that. Individual encounters are hard, but the true test comes from the war of attrition that is staying long enough to complete the expedition's objectives. Now this is a real fucker to achieve, but sometimes you luck out and reach your goal just in the nick of time. You might end up with only one party member left alive, but a win is a win. Even when victory is at hand, your party returns to town broken and deranged. Remember that stress thing I was talking about earlier? Persistent, untreated mental effects will end up doing you real dirty in combat later down the line. Think the recovery time and damaged will mechanics of the XCOM games, only more subtle and really grim. Party members attacking the wrong enemies, moving the formation around in unhelpful ways, or refusing to be healed. Can you imagine that? They develop traits like selfishness or a morbid fascination with gore. It's not so black and white, there's a lot going on here. So far, everything I've told you will probably have you thinking, so why does he think the game is on your side? It's clearly rooting against you. One of the most interesting aspects of Darkest Dungeon's systems I haven't talked about yet is a mechanic called Death's Door. While death is a permanent fixture and certainly something you will experience time and time again, in keeping with the game's eldritch themes, it wouldn't be all that interesting if everyone just got gibbed on the first strike, would it? You'd miss out on all that luscious insanity. Instead, when a party member's health reaches zero, they go into this high-stress state where potentially any future enemy assault could mean the end, but crucially, a lot of the time, it doesn't. In a game full of nasty buggers filling you with arrows, poisoning you, gouging full chunks out of you, the chances of you actually dying to any given attack are surprisingly low. I'm not sure of the maths behind it, but I'm assuming it does these invisible dice rolls that are impacted by factors such as stress level and mental fortitude. Attacks might miss, or they might hit and the players keep standing. I haven't played far enough to determine whether there are any particular permanent impairments as the result of a character reaching death's door, but what I do know is that surviving a combat encounter when your team should be dead already is a very empowering feeling. Coupling this with the fact that you can easily escape from combat and even leave the dungeon at almost any time with the press of a button, and you have a game that ends up being surprisingly lenient, even as it's bashing your skull in. The Lovecraft influence is felt on a mechanical level here, minus the racism, because a lot of the game's most interesting moments come from the fact that the party's mental health affects the outcome of, well, everything. How you fight, how you survive. It treats these people who show up to your estate, complete strangers, brigands who have ventured through the dark in search of treasure, as autonomous human entities. Keeping them alive is a part of that, a triumph of humanity over the beasts of the depths. The institutions of the town surrounding the estate fall neatly into this paradigm, with you having the choice to send those in your employ to the sanitarium to be seen by men of science, or the abbey to commune with God, or just send them down the pub for a good old-fashioned pint and a shag. I don't know if this is an intentional element of the game, a guiding hand to encourage novice players to keep going even if things look bleak. I know you need some of them to survive, to level up and become strong enough to tackle the things that reside deeper and deeper in the crypts below the estate. You don't expect to see hope as a facet of eldritch horror, so maybe it's just there to lull you into a false sense of security, get you comfortable before the real terrors emerge. For the time being, it's a welcome bulwark that empowers the player not to abandon all hope from the get-go. It may not necessarily be on your side, but Darkest Dungeon wants you to succeed.